I'm going to open my index.html file, style.css file, and app.js file. So we don't have anything inside any of them, and inside this anything inside any of them, .css file and app.js file. So we don't have anything inside any of them, and inside this HTML file, we just have our basic stuff. I'm gonna comment, or I'm gonna collapse this head area. We have a UL. Inside this UL we have a 4 LIs, then we have a paragraph with a little bit of lorem ipsum in there, then we have a section, then we have a new list, and then we have a little bit of LIs inside there. Alright, so let's get into that. So in JavaScript we just have a little bit of comments. So the first thing which you are going to be learning in this section is how to create element and how to use this create element method. Then we are going to be learning about how we can use this append child, append method, prepend, insert before, insert element, insert adjacent element, remove child, and remove. Okay, so we are going to be learning these methods in this section. So starting from the first thing, which is that create element. So if you want to create element using JavaScript, so first of all we are going to be writing our comments for ourselves, like creating elements, or element to be precise, just a singular. So suppose if you want to create an element, so first of all you are going to be writing a document, and then you have a method called create element, as self-explanatory. So if you want to create anchor tag, you can just provide anchor tag. If you want to create like bold tag, so you can just provide B. If you want to create h1, so you can just provide h1, and you can just provide section. If you want to, you can provide article if you want to, but in my case I'm gonna just write h1 in it, and I want to store that in some sort of a variable like h1. So now we successfully create our h1. So now if you log that to the console.log h1, and now if you save there, and we have to launch this index.html file like so, save a byte to the other one, open our console right here. Alright, so now here you can see we just have our empty h1 right here. We don't have any classes, we don't have any IDs, we don't have any content inside this h1 right here. Okay, so basic h1. Alright, so now we successfully create our h1. So what else do we have to do? Now if you want to add content to this h1, so we already learned how we can add content to our elements. So for that we have h1.text content property, and we can just provide like hello world. And now if you save that, and let's just check that text content property like text content, and now if you save that, it will now give us that text content right here. Okay, so we can also provide classes to it if you want to. We already learned how we can provide classes to it. So we can just write h1.classlist.add, and we can just provide different kind of classes to it, like I don't know, greetings would be fine. So greetings. So if you save that, let's just remove that text content, and here you can see we have h1 with the class of greetings right here, and we can also do styling if you want to, so you can just write h1, but we cannot see that. And we can all, because we didn't append our element, how we can add text to our element, how we can attach classes to our element, how we can remove even classes from our element, like just write remove class if you want to. So now the next method which you are going to be learning about is append child method, and append child will just append or whatever is a remove clause. If you want to. So now the next method which you are going to be learning about is append child method, and append child will just append or whatever text we have or whatever thing we have, it will append it at the end of the list. So let me just select first of all the body, I'm going to just write const body. It will be now set to document.body. So now we successfully select our body. Now we create our element, we provide text to our element, we provide class to our element, but we don't have that element inside our body. So if you want to push that element, that newly created element, to this body, so for that we can just use append child. So I'm going to just write body dot append and then child. Okay, so I'm going to just set that h1. So if you save that, and here you can see it will not use us that hello world right here, but it will be at the end of this body. It will not be at the top, it will not be at the center, it will not be anywhere in here, but it will be at the bottom, because as the name suggests, that it will just append our element at the bottom of the list. So what is the bottom of the list? The bottom of the list is that final of the list. It will just push it right here. If you change the text to be like goodbye, so if you save there, it will now change the text to goodbye. And also let's just make sure that we provide a classes to it. Let's just click on it. So here you can see we are now getting this greetings class right here. Okay, so everything is working the way we expect him to work. So this is how we can create our element, and this is how we can append it to somewhere. So we can like append it to our UL and LIs and all of that kind of good stuff which we learn. So you can just select like this UL and you can append it right here at the end of this LIs right there. So now let's just do that. You know what, I'm gonna comment all of this coding from now, and I'm gonna just make a separator for ourselves. So alright, so now that we learned about a create element method and append child method, but now in this case we are going to be learning about insert before and then append, prepend, and insert before and stuff like that. Alright, so first of all we have to select our UL. So I'm going to just write document.query selector of this UL. Okay, so now let's just create our new item. So new, oh you know what, let me just give a name of like new li, and it will be now set to document.create element. So we want to create an element, we have to just provide li right here. Okay, so we want to create a li, so that's why we provide li. Now let's just provide a text to it. So dot inner text to it, it will be now set to I am li tag. Okay, and now let's just append that to a UL. So we already learned like how we can append that to UL. So we can just use like ul.append child. This is kind of a review, so new li. So now we successfully append that to UL. Okay, so now let's just get our first li. So const first li, and it will now equals to document.query selector, and we want to just select our first li, which is this one. Okay, and now let's just learn about our insert before. It's kind of a weird one. So insert before method is a little bit weird one, you have to remember that. So first of all we have a selector, then we have an insert before method on there. So it will just take two parameters, like what do you want to insert and then where do you want to insert it. So let me just show you that. So now let me just write UL and then insert before, and we want to provide so we want to provide new li, and we want to put it in a first li. So if you just save that, and it will now just put it at the top right here. Okay, so this is the first. So if you just new li, and we want to put it in a first li. So if you just save that li, and we want to put it in a first li. So provide new li, and we want to provide so we want to provide new li, and we want to put it in a first li. So if you just save that, and it will now just put it at the top right here. Okay, so this is the first li, and it will now insert it before this first li right here. Okay, so the syntax is a little bit weird. First of all we have to select something, then we want to use this insert before, and then what do you want to insert and where do you want to insert it. Okay, so that was just kind of a quick introduction about insert before element, and now let's just learn about insert adjacent element. So Let me just comment out all of these lines for now. I'm going to comment it out, and let's just copy this line out, and I'm going to paste this separate right here. So we just learned about create element, append child, insert before. Now let's just learn about insert adjacent element right here. Okay, so go to the bottom, and now let's just learn about insert adjacent. So first of all, we have to select our paragraph, which is this paragraph right here. So we are going to be writing cons first, paragraph. So we are going to be just writing document.create selector of paragraph. So we already select our paragraph. Now let's just create our I tag. So I'm going to write I and then document.create element. So as the name suggests, that it allows us to create our element of I, and then I.inner text will be now set to I am italicize, italics, or whatever you want to call it. And we can also provide a styling to it. So the style.color will be now set to sky blue. Okay, so now we successfully create our element. We provide a style, we provide text to it, and we also provide a style to it. Okay, so now if you want to insert that, so for that we can use a method called insert adjacent elements. So I'm going to just first of all write a first paragraph and then insert adjacent, not HTML but elements. So element, like so. Okay, so it will just take like where do you want to insert it and what do you want to insert it. Okay, so it will also take two parameters, like where do you want to insert it and what do you want to insert it. So we have a few values for that. So we want to just write like before begin. So before begin, as the name suggests, that it will just insert it before it begins. So if you just save that, and it will now place it right here. I'm going to just before it begins. So if you just save that, and it will now place it right here. I'm going to just remove that. So it will now place it right here. I'm going to duplicate this line of code, and I'm going to just change that to after begin. AFTERBEGIN. Now if you save that, it will now place it right here. Okay, after it begins, I'm going to duplicate that one more time, and then we have before end. And now if you save that, it will now push it right here before the end of that line right here. Okay, so now if you duplicate that, and then we have a final parameter for that, like after and now if you save that, and it will now just put it after the end of that paragraph. So this is how you can work with the insert adjacent element. And then now let's just learn about this. So this is how you can work with the insert adjacent element. And then now let's just learn about this append and then prepend. These are kind of a similar ones, so I'm gonna just comment out this one. And now let's just place this separator for here. And now let's just learn about append and prepend. So for append and prepend, it's kind of a similar and simple one to learn. Let's just get our section first of all. So we have this section with the text of hello inside there. So now if you want to get this, I'm going to just write section. It will be now equals to document dot query selector of section. Okay, so now let's just append or li to it. You know what, I'm going to comment uncomment this line, or I'm going to copy this text from here, and I'm going to paste it right here. Or cut that one paragraph and uncomment these. So we successfully create our I tag right here, and we just provide inner text to be like I'm italic, and we also provide a color to be sky blue. And now let's just push that. I'm gonna cut that from here. I'm gonna paste it right here. Okay, so now if you want to push this I tag to this section by using a append clause, so we can also do that. So let me just write section. Let's just write section and then append of this I. So now if you save there, and now here you can see it will now append this I metallic with the hello. So we are now appending this I tag on this section right here. So we can just create another one, like let's suppose const h4 will be now equals to document dot create element. Oh my goodness, come on, create element of h4, and then h4 will have the text of, like, I don't know, inner text will be now set to maybe my own name, like Hussein. And now let me just change the h4.style.color to be crimson. And now let's just append that as well at the same time. So I'm going to just write h4, and now if you save that, and boom, here you can see it will now append this one as well. So if you just change that to span, and also change these to spans, and now if you save that, and it will now, you can see it will now be in line right here. Okay, so this is how we can append multiple things at once. So then the next thing which we have prepends. So now if you save our file, so here you can see it will now append it at the beginning of that section, and if you just use that append, so it will just push it at the end of that selection. So if you save that, it will now push it to the end, and this prepend will just push it at the beginning right here. Okay, so this prepend will just push it at the beginning right here. Okay, so the end of that selection. So if you save that, it will now push it to the end, and this prepend will just push it at the beginning right here. Okay, so that's it about create element, the append child before, append prepend, insert JSON. Now let's just learn about remove child and remove. Okay, so it's kind of a self-explanatory. So if you want to remove that span, so you can just write span.remove. You know what, not span, let's just see. We have a new list. First of all, let me just get my new list real quick, and I'm going to comment all of this code right now, create a separator for myself, and now let me just write a new list. First of all, const new list, and it will be now equals to document.query selector of new list. list. Okay, so we have different kind of elements inside this new list. So I'm going to write new list dot remove child, child, and which child we want to remove. So we want to remove this child, and which child we want to remove. Child, child, and which child we want to remove. So we want child, and which child we want to remove. So we want child, and which child we want to remove. So we want to remove this one, or you know what, this one, fourth one. I'm gonna give a class of fourth, so copy that, and let's just get our fourth as well. So const fourth will be now equals to document.query selector of fourth. Okay, so we have to just specify this fourth in it. So let's just write fourth, and now if you save that, it will now just remove that fourth from here. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 5. We don't have that fourth one. And if you want to remove all of them at once, like if you want to remove all of that list, so for that we have new list dot remove, and boom. Okay, so it will just remove that. So if you want to remove the other stuff, so you can just use this remove method, and it will just remove. Remove it totally from the DOM. So in this section we learn about different kind of methods, like we learn about create element method, and create element method, as the name suggests, that it will allows us to create element. Then we learn about append child. It will just push or anything we just created at the bottom of the page, at the bottom of the list. And then we have insert before. It will just insert it before, and let me just put like what and where. Okay. Then we have append method, and append will append our element at the end of the list, and prepend will append our element at the beginning of the list. We also learn about insert adjacent element before. We have a few properties for that, and we also learn about remove child and also the remove method. So we learn enough about in this section. So what else do we have to learn? So now the next thing which we are going to be learning is something called event listener in the DOM. Which we learn enough about in this section, child and also the remove method. So we learn enough about in this section. So what else do we have to learn? So now the next thing which we are going to be learning is something called event listener in the DOM. Alright, so now that we are totally done with creating element, appending and prepending and all of that kind of a good stuff, so now let's just learn about something called events in JavaScript. So this is our HTML coding. It's not that much, but before we get into all of this coding, let's just ask our good old friend, like, what in the world is event? So what is event? JavaScript interaction with HTML is handled through events that occurs when the user or the browser manipulate a page. So when the page loads, we have different kind of events for different kind of things which we are going to be learning in this video. So like for example, when the web page load, it can call an event. The user can, if the user click on some button, the specific event can be called, or if the user scroll down, if the user drags something, if we just click on somewhere else, if we move our mouse to somewhere. So we have different kind of events for that. So I just kind of want to give you the definition of what event is. So let me just say that one more time. JavaScript interaction with HTML is handled through events that occurs when the user or the browser manipulates a page. When the page loads, it is also called event. When the user click on the button, that click is also an event as well. So that was just kind of a definition of our events. So now let's jump into our coder and let's just see what we have. So first of all, we have our doc type HTML, just a structure of that. Then we have our button with no classes, nothing inside there, but we just have a label of click me. Then we have another button with a class of second button with the text of learn, or you know what, bad way would be fine. So with the text of bad way. And then we have a button with the class of best and best way, and finally we just have our paragraph with the class of para. So this is it for our HTML. Now let's get into our JavaScript, and now let's just start working on, oh, you know what, we're not going to be just jumping into a JavaScript straight. First of all, we have to learn about the inline event. So how would you attach inline events to an inline or specific element in your web page? So now in this case we are going to be learning about inline event, but my suggestion will be to never use that. So if you want to attach inline events, so first of all you are going to be writing on, and then we have a click, and we have a lots of events for a lot of different kind of things. If I zoom out, if I just zoom out a bit like so, and if I just write on, so we have on a board, on blur, on can play through, change, click, context menu, double click, drag, and we have different kinds of events right here for different kind of things. But in this case, we are just interested in the click one, so we are going to be just working with the on click event right here. So now what do we have to do? Let me just write alert in here, and I'm gonna just put the value of like a. Okay, so if you save our file, and let's just launch this in our live server, so it will now just launch it. Alright, so now if I click on this click me button right here, so here you can see it will now give us this A right here. That's because of this event like on click. So whenever we click on this button, so something will happen. So we just attach alert. We can also just write like, I don't know, console.log of like hello. So let's just do that. Oh, you know what, or single quote would be fine so that it doesn't give us an error like so. So if you save our file, open our developer tools, if we click on this click me, so anytime we click on this button, it will now give us this hello right here. That's because of this button. And my suggestion will be to never ever use inline JavaScript like that, and never ever use inline events. But I just kind of want to show you, like for some cases, if you just see like old code bases, so you will find this on click inline events, so be aware of that. So I'm gonna just comment this line for now. And now what else do we have? So we have a second button, and we are going to be learning about yet another bad way, and then finally we are going to be learning about a great way to attach event listener, and we are going to be also learning about event object. Okay, so now let's just write our bad way. So first of all, if you want to work the bad way, first of all we have to select something so that we can attach our event listener on there. So let's just select our second btn, and let me just write document.query query selector, this one, and let me just get my second btn, zoom out, which is this second btn right here. Okay, so btn, zoom out, which is this second btn right here. Okay, so now we totally select our second button. Now if you want to attach your event listener, and this is the second bad way to attach your event listener. So first of all, we have our selector like second button, and then we have on click. So if we click on that button, so what do we have to do? We are going to be just firing this function right here, or you can just put alert in here. And by the way, if you just put alert right here, and if I just put my own name, and if we save our file, it will now give us that alert right here, and our web page does not load up. This is another story, but I want you to know that it will block our web pages from execution. So if I just click on OK, it will just paint our browser right here. But never use this alert and this kind of bad stuff. So instead we can just use a function. If you just use a function like so, and if you just write console.log of Hussein, maybe Hussein web dev, and now if you save our file, and now if I just click on this bad way, it will now print us that Hussein web dev right here. And we have different kind of events, like we have on mouse move, I guess. So events like we have on mouse move, I guess. So save our file. So now if I move my mouse over to that button, so it'll now print my name that much time, like so. Here you can see countless time. So we have different kind of events, but for now I'm gonna just stick to on click event, and this is the bad way to write events. So I'm gonna comment this line out. and this is the bad way to write events. So I'm gonna comment this line out. Okay, this coding out, and now let's just learn about a great way to attach events using JavaScript DOM. Alright, so let's just select our best. So I'm gonna just select my best document.query selector of best. And now if you want to attach event listener on this best by using a best way, so first of all we are going to be selecting our best like some sort of a selector, and then we are going to be using a method called add event listener, and this is the best way to attach your event listener to different kind of elements. So now here we have to specify like which kind of events we want to listen to. We have click, we have a DBL click, we have a mouse move click, we have mouse or we have a lot kind of events which you are going to be learning just in a second. But in this case we are just interested in click event, so we will just pass our click, and then we have to pass some sort of a function. In this case we just pass or click, and then we have to pass some sort of a function. In this case we just pass our function manually right here, but now in this case we can also we just pass our function manually right here, but now in this case we can also pass our function manually as well, like just pass anonymous function and then just write like console.log of hello world. And now if you save that, and now if I click on this best phase, so here you can see it will still print that hello world right here in the console, but we can also just separate that function to somewhere else. So if you just copy that or cut that from here, and if you just put it right here, and we have to give them some sort of a name like greetings would be fine. And now we successfully create our function. Now we have to just pass the name of that function or the reference of that function inside this add event listener as the second parameter. So if you save our file, and now if you click on that one more time, so it will still work right here. Okay, so everything is working. The way we expect him to work, and we can just still pass what we call it of arrow function. So I'm going to comment this line out, and let's just remove these greetings from there, and we can still pass an arrow function. And by the way, if you guys don't know about arrow function, so I've got entire course on ES6 and there if you want to check that out, it's totally free on my YouTube channel. So ES6 through ES whatever the best way is coming up. So I have a course on ES6, ES whatever, like all of these bleeding edge JavaScript. I have entire course on that if you want to check that out. Anyways, so if you want to check out the arrow function value, so feel free to do that. I've got a video on that arrow function as well. So this is how you can pass arrow function, and you can just write like whatever you want to write, like console.log of yellow and now if you save that and if you click on that, it will print as yellow. And if you are using an arrow function, so you can also omit these curly braces from there. So if you save that, and now here you can see we get our one liner right here and from there. So if you use arrow function, so you can also omit or one liner right here. And now if you click on this best way, so in this video we just learned about 3 ways to attach. So this is how we can attach event listener. So in this video we just learned about 3 ways to attach event listener. This is the first way, the oldest, like the 90s way of attaching event listener by using inline event listener. And then we learn about the bad way, which is that by using this on click methods. And then we learn about a great way, which is by using add event listener, and this is also a modern one. Okay, so let's just comment this line out, and I want to also comment this line out as well. So now let's just learn about something called the event object. So let me just select my para, which is this paragraph right here. So let me just select that. Const para will be now equals to document dot query selector of para. Okay, so now if you want to attach event listener on this paragraph, so we can just use like para and then add event listener, and we can just listen to a click event. And here we are going to be passing our arrow function, but we are going to be also passing our event object right here. So this is going to be a special listen to